I'm glad I wasn't playing at the time of the Legion's release. To witness such a badass trailer that hints at the ability to blend in with survivors only to systematically take them out one by one from the shadows is such a cool concept. But then the lore released and you might think this is some sort of map-wide killer, twin sort of thing, 4 killers in one, but nope! It's another rushy bullshit movement killer. Hoorah! The Legion is such an amusing case to me because they are really fun to play. Zipping around the map, vaulting windows and pallets, slashing one survivor after the other, the constant heartbeats and rushing music really add to the adrenaline rush you'd expect from this kind of killer. On the other hand, playing against the Legion is perhaps the single most boring fucking thing you'll ever have to deal with in this game. Mending over and over and over again throughout the match, nobody really going down until well into the mid game, working peacefully on a generator thinking you're in the clear, when all of a sudden you see 2 of your teammates get deep wounded back to back, and out in the distance you see Tataryu barreling down on you with a throbbing erection and a complete disregard for public nudity laws, as he does his patented hit and bail that all of Tat's ex-lovers are no doubt familiar with. By the way, I know Tataryu watches my videos. Love you, bro. Before we get into the video, I just wanted to let you guys know I offer channel memberships at $2 and $5 a month. Benefits include simp badges, credits at the beginning and end of every video, and emotes that you can use all across YouTube. Okay, enough begging for rent money. Let's get back to fixing the Legion. When I set out to make this video, I originally had a complete change of power and playstyle. I was originally going to make the Legion a stealth trap killer, using lockers and the other 3 Legion members to create a kind of dredge playstyle of TPing from locker to locker, while the lockers that had Legion members in them would be traps that would injure or restrain survivors who pass in front of the lockers. Then I changed it up and tried to work in a Mirage from Apex sort of vibe where Legion could send out another member to fool the survivors into which way the Legion was going, and maybe a secondary power that would spawn all 3 other Legion members to chase down survivors. Ultimately, I ended up really enjoying the locker idea, but I had a problem. My goal with these videos is to introduce actual legitimate changes that could be made into the game realistically, and completely shifting the playstyle of the Legion would piss off Legion members. And while the only Legion main I care about is Tat, my beloved, I do think it's worth acknowledging that behavior should avoid shifting the playstyle too much. So with all that in mind, here are the goals for today's change. Number 1, find a way to incorporate the other Legion members. Number 2, make the power more interactive and less boring. And number 3, do not change the playstyle, but enhance it. With these goals in mind, here's what I came up with. Step 1, remove the deep wound effect from the Frenzy Slash. It's unnecessary, a pain in the ass, it happens too fast, too often, and causes the game to feel boring and unfun. Much of the problem with the Legion in his current state is that every time you get deep wounded, you have to take 15 or 20 seconds or whatever to sit there and mend, and it doesn't actually do anything. Like, it doesn't provide an adequate slowdown, or it doesn't provide an actual threat. It's just a pain in the ass. And a lot of Legion players, for whatever reason, will constantly apply the deep wound over and over again without actually following up on it. So they're not actually winning the game, they're just delaying the inevitable. And it's really, really annoying. Step 2, change the way that the Frenzy Slash works. Instead of inflicting deep wound, now there's a token system on the power. Each hit of the Frenzy Slash increases the duration by 0.5 seconds, and you gain a token. Each token grants a 1% movement speed increase to the Frenzy. When the Frenzy is at 20 tokens, the next hit will insta-down the survivor and remove 5 tokens for each survivor still alive. For example, if you land the hit and down a survivor, and you have 3 survivors left, then it removes 15 tokens. If all 4 are still alive, all 20 tokens are removed. This adds a snowballing effect, while at the same time not being completely unfair to both sides. For example, if you're down to your last 2 survivors, you manage to land a hit on the 20 tokens, and you hook this last person, then it's going to bring the token count down to 10. Even if that person that you just hooked is on death hook, it's still going to bring it down to 10, which means that the last survivor has a pretty decent chance of being able to avoid the insta-down, because you would have to hit them literally 10 times to get the insta-down back. But it also means that the Legion can play around this kind of style, force into 19 tokens, use a regular M1 to down the last person, and then they have the Feral Frenzy ready to hit the last person that's still alive with the 20th token to actually knock them down. If the survivor manages to stun the Legion in any way, pallet stun, flashbang, head on, wiggle out, flashlight save, etc., etc., 2 tokens are removed. Survivors can tell if the Legion is at 20 tokens with a bar around each survivor portrait, similar to the laceration meter for the Trickster. The bar will have 5 segments that change color as tokens are gained. Green for the first 5 tokens, yellow for the next 5, blue for the third set of 5, and finally red when the next hit is an insta-down. Step 3. Add new parameters for the power. We keep the idea that without the token stacks, the Legion cannot down the survivors with the Frenzy Slash, injured or not. But what's to stop the Legion from just cutting the same survivor back to back to back to back until 20 tokens have been reached? Simple. The Frenzy Rush lasts 25 seconds with a cooldown of 15 seconds. However, any hit on an injured survivor reduces the duration of the timer by 1.5 seconds upon the hit. If you come out of the Frenzy Rush by hitting an injured survivor, the cooldown is 20 seconds instead. This incentivizes actively running around the map and hitting survivors, but it also provides counterplay for survivors if they want to stay injured to weaken the token gain. Step 4. When you load in as the Legion, 3 lockers around the map will have the other Legion members in them. These lockers can be identified by the survivors by a faint terror radius of 5 meters. This is also accompanied by sounds like subtle giggles or someone playing with a knife or something. If you run in front of these lockers or try to get in them, the Legion member inside will burst out, apply a Feral Frenzy hit, and then runs to a different locker to hide in. Yes, this Feral Frenzy hit does gain a token for the power, and if there is 20 tokens, the survivor is insta-downed. At any time while not in Feral Frenzy, the Legion can press the secondary power button, the one that's normally mapped to control for the rest of you, to switch places with another Legion member. The Legion member that was being controlled will get into the nearest locker. This process takes 1 second for the sleep animation, quote unquote, and 1.5 seconds for the wake up and burst out of the locker animation. Jesus Christ, now that we have a new, interactive, less boring power while maintaining the playstyle and adding some spice to it, let's take a look at the add-ons. Obviously, with a chunk of the Legion's add-ons being mending related, I needed to tackle them first, so here's what I came up with. For the smiley face pin, survivors hit with a Feral Slash are blinded for 30 seconds. Defaced smiley pin, survivors hit with a Feral Slash are deafened for 60 seconds. The Legion pin, survivors hit with a Feral Slash are blinded and oblivious for 60 seconds. Stylish sunglasses, after 2 survivors are hit with a Feral Slash, show the auras of non-injured survivors for 4 seconds. Joey's Mixtape, survivors hit with the Feral Slash are deafened and blinded for 60 seconds. Stab Wound Study, survivors hit with the Feral Slash repair generators 15% slower while injured. Filthy Blade, survivors hit with the Feral Slash are hindered by 15% while injured. If you're wondering why I removed all the things like broken, hemorrhaged, and mangled, it's because of the weaknesses I mentioned earlier. Because hitting an injured survivor reduces your Feral Frenzy cooldown, you want survivors to heal themselves, so it's incredibly important you don't give them a reason not to. They can either suffer the debuffs from being injured or heal and give you more fuel to work with. Finally, the last add-on I want to take a look at is BFF's add-on. It's kind of underwhelming to say the least, so here's my proposed change to work with the new power. Feral Slashes by locker members of the Legions gain 3 tokens instead of 1. Switching control of a Legion member activates 50% slower and instantly recharges the Feral Frenzy. If you switch control 10 times during a match, all your Feral Slashes will gain 2 tokens, but stuns will lose you 4 tokens. And that's everything I have for the Legion. Outside of my Freddy video, this is the most in-depth with changes I've gone trying to solve an issue with a killer. Overall, I think this would provide less boring downtime for survivors, while also keeping the Legion as threatening, if not more threatening, than their current state. The new locker mechanic adds more depth to the power and causes Legion mains to have to think for once. Love you, Tat. But in all seriousness, I think this would overall improve not only playing as the Legion, but also playing against them, providing adequate counterplay while also providing a lot of fun in the chases that survivor mains say that they love so much. I think overall this is going to be a good change if it was ever implemented. Not that I expect it to be implemented, but at least it's realistic. Or maybe I'm wrong and I'm a big stupid doo-doo head. Whatever the case may be, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I love you all so much, and I will see you in the next one.